April the 4th, 1968, Memphis, Tennessee. The air is warm and heavy. A man steps out onto the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. He smiles and jokes with his close friends down in the parking lot. He asks a musician to play his favorite song tonight. The atmosphere is completely relaxed. Suddenly, a single loud sound shatters the quiet evening. It sounds exactly like a car backfiring. But it is a sniper's bullet. The man falls backward onto the cold concrete floor. Blood heavily stains his white shirt. His friends point frantically toward the dark building across the street. The greatest voice for peace in modern American history is suddenly, violently silenced. The entire nation instantly erupts into massive, uncontrolled flames of anger and deep sorrow. To understand why this man of peace was hunted down and murdered, we must look at the deeply divided world he challenged. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. His father was a strong, respected preacher. As a young boy, he thought the world was completely fair. But he quickly learned the harsh, ugly truth. He was forced to attend separate, poorly funded schools. He had to drink from separate water fountains. The laws of the land were designed to crush his spirit completely, but his parents taught him he was as good as anyone else. He possessed a brilliant, powerful mind. He went to college early. He studied theology to become a preacher like his father, wanting to use powerful words to heal broken souls. He moved to Montgomery, Alabama, to lead a small church. He hoped for a quiet, peaceful life with his new wife. But history had a different plan for him. In 1955, a brave woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a city bus. She was arrested. The local black community was totally outraged. They decided to boycott the entire bus system. They desperately needed a strong, articulate leader to guide them. They chose the young 26-year-old preacher. He stepped up to the podium. He delivered a speech so powerful it shook the entire city. For over a year, thousands of people refused to ride the buses. They walked for miles in the heavy rain and hot sun. The local government tried to crush the peaceful protest. They threw the young preacher in jail. A bomb was thrown onto his front porch while his family was inside, exploding violently. Angry men rushed to his house with loaded guns. They wanted bloody revenge. But the young preacher stood calmly in the ruined doorway. He told them to put their weapons away. He introduced a radical, powerful new weapon to the struggle. He called for absolute, unwavering nonviolence. He taught his followers to meet physical violence with peaceful resistance. He deeply believed that unearned suffering is redemptive. The boycott finally succeeded. The buses were desegregated. He became famous across the entire country. But the fight was just beginning. The powerful entrenched forces of segregation fought back with terrible brutality. The Ku Klux Klan burned churches to the ground. They murdered innocent civil rights workers in the dark woods. The young preacher traveled the country relentlessly. He led peaceful marches. He organized sit-ins at segregated lunch counters. He was arrested dozens of times. He was stabbed in the chest by a deranged woman. He almost died, but he firmly refused to stop. In 1963, he took his nonviolent army to Birmingham, Alabama. It was considered the most fiercely segregated city in the entire country. The local police chief was absolutely ruthless. He ordered his officers to use massive, high-pressure fire hoses against the peaceful marchers. The rushing water was strong enough to strip bark off trees. It knocked grown men to the cold ground. The police then unleashed vicious, snarling attack dogs on the unarmed protesters. Even young children were arrested and thrown into dirty jail cells. Television cameras captured these brutal, shocking images. The whole world watched in total horror. While sitting alone in a dark, narrow jail cell, the preacher wrote a famous letter. He explained why the oppressed could no longer wait patiently for freedom. The massive public outrage finally forced the government to act. Later, that same year, he helped organize the largest political rally in American history. Over 200,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. They stood around the reflecting pool under the hot summer sun. They demanded jobs and absolute freedom. The preacher stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. He put his prepared notes aside. He spoke straight from his soul. He shared a beautiful, soaring vision of the future. He dreamed of a day when people would not be judged by the color of their skin. He dreamed they would be judged by the content of their character. His words echoed around the entire globe. He became the undisputed moral leader of the nation. The following year, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was the youngest person ever to receive this massive honor. But his massive success made him powerful, dangerous enemies. The director of the FBI believed the preacher was a massive threat to national security. The government tapped his phones. They recorded his private conversations. They tried to blackmail him. They sent him a threatening letter, urging him to kill himself. He ignored them. He kept marching forward. He helped push the government to pass the historic Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. These laws legally ended segregation. But he knew the laws were not enough. He saw massive poverty destroying families in the northern cities. He saw young men dying in the dark jungles of Vietnam. He began to speak out forcefully against the war. This made him deeply unpopular. Many of his old allies abandoned him. The press turned heavily against him. He was completely exhausted. He was constantly depressed. In 1968, he shifted his entire focus to fighting poverty. He planned a massive campaign for poor people of all races. He wanted to bring thousands of poor Americans to camp in Washington, D.C. until the government provided economic justice. He traveled to Memphis to support striking sanitation workers. They were fighting for fair wages and human dignity. He gave a haunting, prophetic speech the night before he died. He said he had been to the mountaintop. He said he had seen the promised land. He told the crying crowd that he might not get there with them. But he was not afraid of any man. The very next day, the sniper's bullet found him on that motel balcony. The dreamer was dead. His death sparked violent riots in over 100 cities. The sky above Washington, D.C. filled with thick black smoke. The nation was tearing itself apart. Will his beautiful dream of peace die with him in the burning ashes? Or will a new generation rise from the fire to carry his heavy burden? We will explore the massive, shocking fallout in the next episode.